Okay, hi. I wanted to talk about something that I feel like is very relevant. Uh, it reminds me of the one of the first videos that I made on this TikTok app called the split on social media. I spoke about this last year in 2024, and it is it was relevant then, but it is more relevant now than it was then. What I was speaking about, or at least one of the things I had mentioned in the video, was the noise on the social media apps. The noise has gotten so loud, right? There's a conflux of information coming from all directions, and you notice that it's all reactive or reactionary. Like it's meant to get a reaction out of you, right? So content about politicians and what they don't like about politicians, um, what's happening in America, what's happening in certain cities, what's happening with the all of these things that people are coming on these apps and they're panicking, right? And this is what is circulating on the social media apps. Or, it could be as simple as I didn't like what that person said or what she said, or do this or don't do this or don't comment. Like it's all of it. It's a bunch of opinions and it's a bunch of reactionary content, right? That's a lot of noise, and the noise is meant to detach you from you. It's meant to distract you from you, right? And so what that means is the amount of reactive content that's on here, whether it be rage bait, or they're shutting this down, or the government shut this down, it's meant to destabilize you from within and keep you in a state of panic, right? When you are in a state of panic and spiraling and all of these things, you cannot get, you can't hear, right? You start to drown in the noise on here. And so I would I would encourage people who are trying to detach from the noise that is distracting you from you, right? Distracting you from your higher self, distracting you from your intuition, distracting you from the voice within that is meant to guide you, right? The intuitive voice. You need to align with people whose voices do not blend in with the noise or amplify the noise that's already on these apps. Because what's happening is going to happen. But what will make it worse is your inability to ground yourself, right? And because there are not a lot of grounding voices on this app, you've got to be really intentional. And to me, you will know what that grounding voice is, because if what they say does not inspire silence in the mind and in the body, then that's noise. So just a tip, be careful on these apps when you are scrolling endlessly or past an hour with all of the information and the panicking and people just being extremely reactive and posting it on here. And now these social media apps are just an amplification of noise. You open it up and somebody's crashing out, or someone's crying, or someone's having a debate. This is all noise to keep you outside of your body and less integrated with self, if that makes sense. Less whole, right? You would have to align yourself with voices that when they speak a universal truth. and that truth quiets the noise within. That's how you know who you're supposed to be listening to and pivoting away from. What's happening is going to happen. But to me, your ability to survive it or to get through it is not only contingent on your vision, because to me, if you have vision, then you have direction. But not only is it dependent on whether or not you have vision, but it's also dependent on whether or not you are able to detach from the noise. My laptop is doing the most. So that you can hear the truth, or you can hear what aligns and reject or expel what doesn't. There's a lot on here, and more than likely, if you've been scrolling, you've been over consuming, and therefore you're overstimulated, right? So you probably can't move. Yes, I would say get off the app, but given just how much of a culture this is, it's kind of hard, right? You need to plug into people who quiet the noise in here and in here. So I'm talking about the mental and the heart space. To me, that's where you can feel all of the anxiety and whatnot. Some people feel it in the pit of their stomach. I feel it in my chest. But yeah, I wanted to check in because I was just allowed a moment of silence, and I was able to kind of see what was going on these apps from like a bird's eye view. And it can suck you in because of the amount of noise and pleading and crying and all type. It's just a lot. Don't just detach. You need to find people whose voices quiet this and this. That makes sense. Also, when you think about the noise on these apps, the noise is supposed to amplify your emotions. Your emotions, depending on the intensity of its amplification, is supposed to distract you from your intuition, right? It's supposed to keep you guided by your emotions, right? Your spike in cortisol levels, your panic, right? All of these things that happen due to reactionary content, right? That's supposed to inspire that. The noise is supposed to amplify your emotions. It's supposed to destabilize them, right? And the more I destabilize the energy within, the less you will be able to listen to the intuitive voice, right? Because you'll be too distracted by what I'm putting out on these apps. And therefore, I am successfully distracting you from you, right? That to me is how people on here will be unable to survive what is, I want to say destined, but what is inevitable in terms of what's happening, right?